Joseph and Kevin.
All righty, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch to screen share here. And let's see. Let's go to first thing I want to share with you guys is a car. That just happened to be up here. I was looking at some cars a few minutes ago. What I want to share with everybody is our Facebook page for those of you who are watching the recording, or excuse me, Facebook group, Daily Law of Attraction Training and Support with Coach Kevin. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/Daily Law of Attraction Training. Please ask to join us. This is where we're archiving the recordings of the previous days, as you can see here. And so you can go back and review what we've been doing for this book that we're studying. And we're going to be moving into another one tomorrow. So anyhow, please ask to join us, and you can go back and review. And also another way to interact with us outside of the 30 minutes or so we have each morning. Okay, next thing I want to share with you is the book that we're working on today. I believe we're going to end up finishing up today this particular book. Oh, screen sharing's paused. Sorry about that. There we go. Jackrabbit Factor is the name of the book. Jackrabbit Factor ebook 8.0. It's been revised a few times. Is written by a good friend of mine, Leslie Householder. She, at the time that I met her back in late 2005, early 2006, she had already written this book. She was also a facilitator and coach for some of Bob Proctor's programs, like I am myself. And she has since gone on and does her own thing, kind of like I do myself. And this book is written in story format, and so it's fictional. However, it represents a lot of things that went on in the lives of Leslie and her husband, Trevin, and their family, as they were learning about the law of attraction and how to make things work the way they wanted to. So anyhow, let me get a quick sip of water here, clear my throat. So, excuse me. Here we are, 12 years later, essentially, from the last chapter. So we move forward. Richard Goodman had learned about the law of attraction. And so now knowing the principles and actually applying those, we get to see what's been going on. So did you get the English project done for Mrs. Bear? This is almost 12 years later. Did you get the English project done for Mrs. Bear? And remember that Richard Goodman and Felicity Goodman also had, at the time, it was about a 4-year-old son named Matthew. Okay. Are you kidding? She'd have my head if I didn't. I've got it right here, ready to go. What about you? Moaning, the young man replied, oh, I wish. Still have a couple things to do, but plan on throwing it together at lunchtime. Oh, Kyle, you can't miss lunch. Matt's 16. Don't you want to see what kind of wheels his rich daddy gave him? He'll probably take us off campus to get something from Lumpy's lunch. Come on. The young man who didn't finish his project was disappointed to miss out. Oh, that stinks. Sighing, he said, no, I need an A on this one. Your loss. I bet it's a BMW. No, I bet it's a Lamborghini. Can you imagine the heads that'll turn when we go cruising with Matt? I bet Jenna would give you a second glance. You sure you can't turn in the project tomorrow? There's no way, Josh. No can do. Your loss. Just then a vibration rattled the ground, and the young men felt it come up through their feet. With wide eyes, they looked at each other and then turned around to see an old beater truck coming their way in obvious need of a muffler. In fact, As it jiggled side to side on its approach toward them, the boys could see that the dilapidated gray and rust truck had been in a wreck, and one fender was barely held on with a wire wrap. Heads did turn, including Jenna's. She was walking from her outdoor locker, headed toward the main building on the campus, when she saw the jalopy rattle into the parking lot and approach the boys who were leaning against an old Volkswagen. The truck pulled in right next to the VW, and Matt kicked the door open from the inside and climbed out. Hi, guys. The boys were speechless. Kyle caught a glimpse of Jenna with a look of disgust on her face as she quickly turned away, hoping to avoid eye contact with them. Matt took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Gotta go. Class is about to start. Matt slammed the door shut and began to head for the main building. The other two boys looked at each other questioningly and then jogged ahead to catch up with Matt. Matt, what's going on? What was that? Matt didn't look at his friend. What's what, Kyle? The truck. Where'd it come from? Why'd you come to school in that thing? That's my new car, Kyle. I used to get to school. I use it to get to school. Have you got a problem with that? Josh piped in with a chuckle. That's no new car, Matt. Yeah, Matt, where's the wheels? What are you saying, Josh? Glancing at Kyle, Josh paused and then cautiously replied, Matt, you're 16. Your dad's loaded. Where's the car? We expected something more along the lines of BMW or Lamborghini. Kyle interjected. Matt stopped abruptly and turned to face Kyle and Josh straight on. Look, guys, my dad's rich. I'm not. With that, he glanced up at the big round clock on the wall above the junior class bulletin board and said, I've got to go. Later, guys. As Matt jogged ahead, disappearing into the crowds, the two boys shook their heads. What's Jenna going to think now, Kyle whined. Forget it, Kyle. You just need to get your own wheels. And if you want to turn her head, If Matt had brought a new car, she probably would have fallen for him instead of you anyway. Dad, I don't think I can take it. Everyone just glared at me today. They're kids whose folks are out of work that have nicer cars than me. Are you trying to outdo them? Do you think you deserve better than them? No, it's not that, Dad. It's just that, I don't know. It just isn't fair. When you can afford a nice car, you can get yourself a nice car. What's so unfair about that? You always make things so difficult. Seems like everyone else is just given a car when they're 16. A car with paint. Rich chuckled emphatically. Son, one day you'll thank me. To be honest with you, I feel sorry for the kids who have everything just given to them. Mark my words, you'll have more going for you in the long run. Matt growled and rolled his eyes. You just don't get it. Storming away, Matt slammed the door behind him, causing his father to wince. Rich simply shook his head, grinning, and then turned his chair around to get back to his paperwork. 1 week later, thud. Matt slammed his books on the floor of the home office, causing his father to spin around, startled. Dad, I can't take it anymore. Rachel turned me down for Saturday night, and I know it's because she's embarrassed about the truck. Son, then she's not worth your time. Anyone who is that caught up in appearances has very little else going for them. You'll find a gal who likes you for who you are. I know. You've ingrained that in me for a long time. I've cared about girls. I know that. Or as long as I've cared about. You've ingrained that in me for as long as I've cared about girls. I know that, Dad. It's just hard when reality hits and when you find out that there aren't any girls out there like that. Do you really believe that, son? Dad sighed. He knew what his dad was getting at and decided to save his father the trouble of pontificating lecture number 6. Tipping his head from side to side, he rehearsed it all. No, Dad, there's a girl who liked me for who I am and who has enough integrity to abide by universal principles of right living. It was a canned line he had repeated over and over thanks to his stubborn father who wanted his son to find the most possible joy in life. Son, you really want a different car? Matt's posture fell and his eyes widened as if to convey the message. Isn't that obvious? Matt, do you want a different car? Deep down, you're completely comfortable with the old truck. Dad, how can you say that? I hate that truck. On the surface, you hate it, but it's in perfect harmony with your subconscious mind, Matt. You want different wheels? You've got to change what's in your subconscious mind. Matt sighed. Sometimes his dad's lectures were downright unbearable. Rich could read his thoughts. Son, it doesn't matter to me what you drive, but when it matters to you so much that you're ready to learn, just let me know. We all pay a price for knowledge. Your price is to gut it out and put up with a few lessons from your old man. With that, Matt's father tipped his head down and raised his eyebrows and then swiveled the chair back around to face his desk. Matt closed his eyes and shook his head. Dad, I know I shouldn't want a new car just to impress the girls. Is it okay, though, to want one that isn't an eyesore? Just, I don't know, so that our community is a little nicer with one less junk heap on the road? Matt tried to sound less like a teenager and more like a grown-up. Deep down, Matt didn't wish for a new car primarily to impress the girls. He just didn't want the car to repel them either. Without turning around, his father said, So do you want a nicer car or not? I want a nice car, Dad, but I don't have the money, and I know you aren't going to buy one, even though you could afford it. Matt couldn't resist dropping the last line under his breath. Perhaps it would guilt his father into giving in. Rich didn't reply at all. Eventually, the silence made Matthew feel awkward, and he wished he hadn't tried to manipulate his dad. He knew better. His father was extremely principled, which made it impossible to persuade him against his standards. Pushing his father only left Matt feeling uncomfortable. Matt relaxed his posture and shook his head. I'm sorry, Dad. Will you just tell me how you think I'm supposed to get myself a nice car when I can only work part-time at minimum wage? Turning in his chair, his father replied, I have no idea. That's a question only you'll be able to answer. I can't be the one to tell you where to jump in order to catch your rabbit. Only you will know that once you spot it. You're the only one who will know which way the rabbit leads you. The rabbit analogy was not a new one to Matt. He'd heard it all his life, but until now he never really felt the need to understand it. After spending the better part of an hour rehearsing the analogy and reviewing certain sections in Richard's book called The Jackrabbit Factor, Matt decided he'd better write his goal down. Once you get it on paper, bring it to me and I'll check to make sure you've worded it properly. Matt disappeared into his room for 5 whole minutes. Then he returned. He showed his father a statement which read, I will have a nice car next week. Rich looked at it and tried to hide his dissatisfaction. Do you believe this is true? No, but you said before to write it down, even if it's unbelievable. Quietly, Rich mumbled, This isn't quite right. Louder, he said, Let me ask you something. If you already had a way, how long do you think it would take to get the car? If I had a way, oh, I don't know. That depends on how good the way it was. How good of a way it is depends on how good of a way it needs to be in order to reach the goal. Goal first, way second, not the other way around. The way only shows up after you set the goal. If you never set the goal, you have no need for the way. Then how do I decide on the when? Well, when you do want the car, when do you want the car? Yesterday. Matt was aggravated. Matt, since this is the first big rabbit you've ever tried to catch, I suggest you pick a date far enough out that it's relatively believable, but close enough that it keeps you awake at night. Oh, I don't know, maybe 3 months. That could be good. Pick a day. Matt paused, but finally moaned, I don't want to have to wait 3 months, Dad. Son, sometimes waiting can be excruciating, but once I've helped you set the goal properly, You'll be just as excited as the day it'll be yours, and nothing anyone can say will get to you. You'll be locked on the dream, and you'll enjoy the journey. When someone teases you about your truck, you'll have an inner conviction that won't be rattled because you'll know that it's only a matter of time before you'll have your car. Trust me, when you're chasing a rabbit, you don't have time to hear what people on the path are saying about you. Matt's defiant attitude had completely melted away, and he meekly listened to his father's counsel. Deep down, he truly respected his dad. His father was well thought of in the community and at church, and Matt was proud of that. Life at school among his peers was rough, though. It wasn't easy to disregard the taunting at school. Still, all he had to do was look at the kind of life enjoyed by his dad, then compare it with the lives of his friends' parents. By doing so, he was smart enough to know from whom he should receive counsel. Now his father continued, go write the goal again, this time with a specific date at the top. And while you're at it, add some detail in the description of the car you want. Later, Matt returned with April 14th, and then the year, I will have a new shiny black convertible. His father looked it over and said, good, that's a little more than 3 months away from now. Only there's a problem. What's that? According to this goal, in 3 months, you'll still be driving your truck. What do you mean? It says I'll have a convertible. It says you will have a convertible. That word insinuates that the convertible is still in your future. So in 3 months, you're no closer to having it than you are now. Oh, wow, I never thought of that. Write it in present tense as though it's already yours and express how it feels to have it. And it could use a little more detail too. Why? Because a vacuum cleaner can be a convertible. Exercise equipment can be convertible. If you don't want a vacuum cleaner, you'd better be specific, son. I knew a lady once who set a goal to have $10,000 in her hand by a certain date. She had long since put the idea out of her mind, but when the day came, she found herself at the bank filling out a deposit slip for her father's bank account. The date triggered her memory of the goal she had written much earlier, and so she slowly turned the check over to find that the amount was exactly $10,000. She got exactly what she had asked for, $10,000 in her hand on that date. But the problem was that the money didn't belong to her. She was making a deposit for her father. She hadn't been specific enough when she committed her goal to paper. Is that a true story? That story is absolutely true. The woman's name was Camille. Why do we have to be so specific? If what we want comes to us from the universe somehow, isn't God smart enough to know what we want and get it right without all the fuss of us writing it down perfectly? Of course, he already knows what we want, but we were told to ask for it. I believe that we often get what we ask for, even if it isn't what we meant, simply to teach us a lesson about how much control we really have over the kind of life we live. How specific we want to be is entirely up to us. What if I say it this way? April 14th, I now have a shiny black convertible Mustang and it feels great. That's closer, but needs more description, more feeling. You sound like Mrs. Bear now, my English teacher. Come on, make it real. How about April 14th, the year? I'm so excited now that I have a shiny black convertible Mustang that is less than 5 years old. It is so much fun to go cruising with my friends, and I don't have to be embarrassed about it looking hideous. Okay, that's better. But since our subconscious mind takes entire sentences and registers each word rather than complete phrases, that goal would program your subconscious mind to help you find a hideous and embarrassing shiny black convertible Mustang that's 5 years old. Matt sighed. His dad was being just like Miss Bear, so picky and hard to please. Son, to help you understand this, let's talk about the people that try to lose weight. So long as they're focused on losing weight, they're setting themselves up for failure. Why? Because when our subconscious mind hears that we have lost something, it automatically kicks into gear in an effort to help us find what we have lost. When it hears the word weight, it automatically associates the term with synonyms such as heaviness or paperweight or weights and measures. So to set a goal to lose weight, a person is actually programming their subconscious mind to find heaviness. So what should they do instead? They should write a date and then express how grateful they are now that they have a healthy, energetic, slender body. Nice. And they should spend more time looking at slim pictures of themselves than they do at looking at themselves in the mirror. Doing so will help their subconscious mind eventually be in harmony with the results they seek, and the results will come more naturally and more permanently. Looking in the mirror all the time and checking the scale every day only reinforces the heavy image they are trying to overcome. It wouldn't do any harm to manipulate the display on the scale to show the number they want. So doing so could actually help their subconscious mind believe it's true and automatically help them desire the proper diet. Oh, here we go. Important, important, important. And automatically help them desire the proper diet or lead them to the right so-called weight loss program. Makes sense, I guess. Same thing goes for getting out of debt. People need to quit setting goals for getting out of debt because they are programming their mind to focus on debt. Doing so will only attract a constant supply of debt into their life. Not only that, but they'd be training their subconscious mind to constantly pay down debts. Do you know what that means? When their bills are finally paid off, their subconscious mind will panic. No debts to pay, but a well-established order to pay off debts. To solve this problem, it will automatically lead the person to create more debt. Matt's mind was drifting. Since dealing with debts wasn't something with which he was personally familiar, his father nevertheless continued, as if lost in the memory of previous conversations he had had with people who often sought his advice. Instead of a debt-ridden person needs to create a gratitude statement like, I'm so happy and grateful that I keep my financial promises on time and that I am independently wealthy. It feels absolutely empowering now that I hold the title to my car and the deed to my home. I feel so free now that my bank account always has at least X amount of money in it. Rich paused. He was obviously contemplative, as if attempting to fine-tune his philosophy on the matter. Politely, Matt humored his father and said, remind me all about that when it's news I can use, Dad. Snapping back to the issue at hand, Rich obliged. You, Matt, you're subconsciously in harmony with the old truck. If you want to own a nice car, you have to switch the self-image you have deep inside your subconscious mind. You do that by writing your goal properly and reading it often enough that you can actually feel how it'll be when it's yours. See, your subconscious mind accepts anything we give it as truth. Then it kicks things into gear to make sure that what it believes to be true is your reality. How does an idea reach your subconscious mind? Through emotion. Every day you feel emotionally upset about having an ugly truck. Your subconscious mind is being reinforced with the truth that you own an ugly truck. My truth is that I own an ugly truck because I let myself feel emotional about it. That's right. If you want to change your truth, you must have a stronger emotion about a replacement idea, such as I feel absolutely ecstatic that I now own a nice shiny Mustang, and so forth. If you can genuinely feel how you expect to feel, you're essentially handing your subconscious mind a new truth. Do it enough, and it will literally drown out the old, undesirable programming. You will put yourself in tune with the new circumstance you desire, and all that you need in order to see it through will be drawn to you. So how do I write the goal properly then? Matt was fascinated by the whole idea. His father replied, let's say you write a goal like April 14th a year. I'm so happy and grateful now that I own the model year, shiny black convertible Mustang with low miles. I'm grateful that it runs properly and gets me where I need to go. It is so much fun to cruise around with the blue sky overhead. I'm grateful that it is a dependable way to get me to school and my other responsibilities. I'm amazed at the worthy money-making opportunity which presented itself to me to get this car. The Mustang was affordable and leaves me free financially to pursue other goals such as college. I'm grateful that I had plenty of time for the money-making idea which presented itself and allowed me time to pay sufficient attention to my studies to keep my grades up. The kids at school are inspired by the example I have set and are curious to know what Dad has taught me. I selflessly share what I have learned and encourage others to set worthwhile goals. I attract the kinds of friends who respect me for my integrity, after all, and I only wanted the car for respectable reasons. Wow, Dad, that was a mouthful. Are you serious? Richard just smiled. Son, it's all up to you. You set a goal like that and read it often, and eventually you will honestly begin to believe it's all true. Once you're already living the dream in your mind, it's only a matter of time before it's really yours. You'll be in tune to opportunities that come your way, which will assist you in attaining your goal. Matt was intrigued. He believed what his father was saying because his father had obviously practiced his theory successfully for years. And soon, Matthew's mind was racing with anticipation. Abruptly, he declared, I'll be in my room, Dad, thanks. He ran upstairs and pulled out a page from his notebook. Carefully and thoughtfully, he composed a statement which described how he felt about the car and life in general, or how he expected it to be 3 months in the future. After about 2 hours, he returned to his father's office, but his father wasn't there. Dad, where are you? I'm in the kitchen with your mother. His father called from another room. Matthew ran to the kitchen and slid to a stop on the polished floor, nearly falling over, but catching himself by grasping onto the granite countertop. Dad, I think I've got it. Look at this. Rich read the statement. It was nearly a whole page long, and it was obvious that Matt had scrutinized each word. You know how I can tell you've planted the dream seed properly, son? Felicity had just poured 3 tall glasses of iced lemonade and beamed with pride. How, Dad? Because you're genuinely excited about your new car. Look at him, honey. He can hardly stand still. Matthew was jittery. He couldn't wait to do something about finding a way now. Dad, that's my car. I'm getting a new car. I know, son. How are you going to do it? I don't know yet, but somewhere that car sits, just waiting for me to find it. And somewhere there are people who need me to do something for them, and they'll give me the money I need. I just know it. Dad, I'm going for a ride. We'll see where it leads me. Take my phone in case we need to find you, dear. Felicity reached in her purse and handed Matthew the tiny device. Son, don't be discouraged if you don't find something right away. Oh, Dad, I already know that. This trip today might only lead me to think of something else I should do instead tomorrow. It's all good. That's what you've always taught me. And son, if you feel fear or anxiety right before you act on a hunch related to achieving your goal, just know that it's simply your subconscious mind wrestling with 2 contradictory truths. It's trying to believe my car is an ugly truck and my car is a shiny black Mustang at the same time. The anxiety is only a sign that your new image has found its way solidly into your subconscious mind. It's simply a positive sign that you've done it. You've successfully planted the new idea in your subconscious, so take action anyway. Matt stopped just before disappearing out the door and said, Huh? He couldn't seem to concentrate on what his father just said. His mind was already miles down the road. Oh, never mind. We'll have that conversation soon enough, I'm sure. Okay, Dad. With that, he was gone. His parents smiled and gave each other a squeeze. This experience alone was worth all the agony of refusing to give him the world on a silver platter. Felicity confessed, I was wrong, Rich. I shouldn't have given you so much grief over what to do for his birthday. Oh, I can't blame you. It's so hard to do the right thing. Sometimes you're the one that sets me straight. I'm just grateful that we endured the hard times together and can now help each other remember to try to live according to principles. Hey guys, let's go off campus for lunch today. I like to swing by the used car lot down at the corner, Matt said as he approached his buddies near the lockers. What, and take your truck? Thanks, but no thanks. Besides, I heard Jenna's sticking around at lunchtime to work on some posters for student council. Kyle glanced over his shoulder in case he could spot her across the way. Josh jumped in. Matt, I can't believe you'd want to drive your truck at lunchtime when all the other cars from school are out on the road. Save it for the to and from, my friend. Look, who cares what I'm driving? Matt's demeanor was solid. I'm going to take my truck at lunch, and I'm going to the used car lot. I saw a black convertible Mustang there on my way to school. I've got to see if it's mine. I have to check the year and the mileage, and if it's the one, find out how much money I have to make in order to get it. I'm going to sit in if you'll let me, and I'm going to send it if they'll let me, and I'm going to see how it feels. You're a goofball, Matt, Kyle chuckled. See you after lunch, guys. Matt turned, threw his backpack over his shoulder, and was gone. Hey, Matt, you think you'll get a Mustang in your dream? Or get a Mustang? In your dreams, Josh hollered and laughed out loud. Matt didn't turn around. He just grinned and thought, that's precisely why it's going to happen, because it is in my dreams. Walking to his truck, he heard Kyle say, oh, he's just excited, Josh. Give him a week. Matt glanced back at the guys who were on their way to the cafeteria. He wondered why they had tried to pull him down like that. I guess I need to add something to my goal statement about kinds of friends I spend my time with. His trip to the lot occupied the entire lunch period. He even forgot about and never missed lunch he brought from home, a peanut butter sandwich in a brown paper sack. After all, he was simply too busy chasing his rabbit. Cool. So we're over by just a couple of minutes, but that is the end of the Jackrabbit factor. Any questions or comments?
From these chapters, I kind of learned that you got to be very specific and not to say anything negative within your thought process. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want this, but I want this. So you have to kind of be very general, very specific, not general.
Yeah.
Or else you'll just attract everything. So.
Uh-huh. So the subconscious mind has no sense of humor.
Oh, it takes everything literally seriously. Like,
Yeah.
they don't distinguish what's good or bad, right?
No.
It's just.
No, absolutely, you're correct. All our subconscious mind does is say, hey, look, what is normal for you? So what's normal for Crystal, which is what you're living right now? That's absolutely what's normal for you right now. And so when you're wanting to move out of that into something different, that's when the subconscious mind, goes to work against you until you're able to get both ideas in there. And then that's when you feel uncomfortable. At first you're excited, but you're uncomfortable when you actually move forward trying to do something about it. And that's where most people give up, because they're like, at first they're like, yeah, I feel good, God's going to help me. God, I asked, I prayed, and I feel good, so I know God's going to help me. And then all of a sudden, or not right instantly, but you're not taking any specific action yet. And then you get this idea that you should do something, and so you're about to do it, but it's not what it may be something out of the ordinary, or it just may be something that you're uncomfortable with or haven't done, and your subconscious mind is pushing. And if you don't if you don't go through that and step through the fear, because the fear is false evidence appearing real. If what we do is we go, oh, and I know a lot of people who do this, at first it's like, God wants me to do this. And then if it feels scary or anything later on, they're like, God must not want me to do this. No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is you got two ideas in opposition to each other. You go through it and take the action. And then what ends up happening is your subconscious mind sees that it didn't kill you or anything, and that you actually got what it was you wanted. And so now the next time you go through this, it'll cooperate with you more. And once you push through it, at least for that specific thing, you don't have to go through it for that thing again. But we do have to go through it for a lot of things. But if we have a new idea come to us that's not in opposition to what is normal for us right now, then the subconscious mind will just take it and run with it. And that's why you can ask for certain things and receive them without a whole lot of effort, because you don't have a program in your subconscious mind that's in opposition to what you want. So, hey, Joseph, a question?
Hey there, Kevin. Thanks. It's very interesting, definitely. It looks like it was um, the science of getting rich was kind of an inspiration to it as well, right? To write this book. You
Yeah,
can see
absolutely.
there.
They quoted Wallace Wattles once or twice in the, and they think they quoted As a Man Thinketh also. Yeah, the science of getting rich is just it's not the only one out there. But for me personally, because I've studied it more than most of these other things, so for me it's more understandable than some of the others, where for other people something else might be.
The oldest
Yeah,
one,
it's
right?
the process. It's the process for manifestation. And you notice, I mean, even in the book, all along the way, people always had some form of mentorship going on. Like in Jackrabbit Factor,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, they found someone, and for his first mentor, he had to give the guy a sandwich. The second mentor, he had to actually give the guy a whole rabbit. But each time he did that, he ended up learning more and getting more and understanding better, because he was working with people that understood more clearly where he wanted to go and had already done similar things to what he wanted to accomplish. So, and that's the way it tends to work in life. We'll be guided and directed by our subconscious mind to different things, like you two are here because of that, whether you knew it or not. But you'll be guided to different things to read or things to watch or people to follow. However, at some point, you very likely are going to need to have a relationship with someone on not just a friendship level, but on a mentorship, coaching type level. It'll just get you through things more quickly and kind of more comfortably in a sense, because they're going to be able to tell you, hey, what you're going through is this and why, and remind you and help you through. It's too bad we can't coach ourselves.
Get objective feedback.
Yeah, we need someone. Every pro sport out there, or Olympian, every single one of these people have somebody out there that's helping them get better and to see further ahead than maybe they have because of experience. So, but this is a good book. We are now done with that. I haven't chosen the next one yet, but join tomorrow and you'll find out what it is.
Appreciate that. We'll appreciate that. I'll have to go back and catch up with the last couple of days.
Yeah. Are you in the Facebook group yet?
I am,
Okay,
but
cool.
time is for me is just to be able to
Sure.
to be update and catching up with my correspondence is kind of tight.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
but definitely I'm in there already.
Awesome.
I watched a couple of past ones, and I'm gonna go catch up with them, and
Cool.
definitely want to read the book too. We much appreciate your kind effort to.
Yeah, you're very welcome, both of you and everyone else who watches this video in the future. You're all welcome.
Thank you again, Kevin. That's great. Look forward to the next one.
Okie dokie. We'll see you guys tomorrow.